Before you get a cyber liability insurance policy, it's best to have your company best prepared for that policy issuance and even the underwriting. So what are the things that the insurance company is going to be looking for? Well, insurers want to know that you understand what the risks are and that you have established a risk management process. If you already have that established, you're going to be way ahead of the game in terms of getting underwriting, getting a really detailed policy that will cover more items than a typical lower end entry level policy. And by knowing what the vulnerabilities your company has, in eliminating some of those, you may not have to pay a higher premium than companies that have higher risk. What are the vulnerabilities? Well, humans within a company are the highest security risk that you can have. They are the ones who can have conduct which will let a hacker or a ransomware fraudster attack your company, maybe steal data, maybe lock down systems. After humans in your company, the next vulnerable layer are the devices. Many companies overlook what their threat vectors are. Every device in your company is a possible threat pipeline for a hacker. You can see all these computers behind me. Every single one of these is connected to the internet. So are phones, so are modems, routers, smart devices. Every device that connects to the internet is a way that a hacker can get into your network. Even third-party devices, for example, your clients may have a connection through their inventory system, maybe their ordering process. Even your front end to your customer internet website has maybe a place they can put in leads, request information, place an order. Number 3 on the list is the authentication. You want to make sure you're using 2 or 3 factor authentication. So that's where you log in and they send you a text message to make sure that it's really you trying to log into your system. Make sure that all of your logins are also not on some spreadsheet. A lot of companies will keep a Google Sheet or a spreadsheet with all their usernames, passwords, and logins for easy access. Well, if it's easy access for you, then it's also easy access for a customer or a hacker or some other nefarious person. If you have a disgruntled employee, they can take that spreadsheet and pass it around the internet. So insurers want to make sure you're not relying on a spreadsheet to manage your passwords. Having a privileged access management for passwords will make you less vulnerable. Also, by delineating the boundaries of your system, making sure that all of the network devices you have contain certain firewalls. So only the access that's needed is allowed. For example, your accounting software or your bookkeeping section, your salespeople probably don't need to have access to that. They may need access to customer information or inventory information, but not your accounting. On the other hand, your accounting department probably doesn't need access to your customer data. So by having those delineated geofence firewalls, will make sure that if some hacker gets into your sales system, they can't affect your accounts payable. Or if they get into your bookkeeping, they can't delete all your customer files. Worst case scenario, make sure you also have a recovery process checklist. If you show up one morning and all your computers are down or your files are deleted, what are you going to do? Make sure your checklist is not on the computer. Make sure you have printed manuals or save a copy on your mobile device, somewhere that if your computer system, your network system is defeated or rendered inoperable, that you have a way to recover, or at least a series of steps or instructions for all the parties involved to recover from that event. And then take a look at what's called endpoint security. In this day and age, many employees or staff are working outside of the office environment. So within the office environment, all that traffic is going to go through your server or go through your modem or your hub, and that's going to be protected. But many times employees will use their mobile device or they'll connect outside the office. Even within the office, some employees will use their cell data to access the internet. Make sure that all those laptops, tablets, and mobile devices have appropriate network security, just like your company does, because that also could be a vector for an attacker to get in to your sensitive systems. And then do regular analysis of the traffic. Look at who has been logging into systems, who is using certain credentials. For example, if your accounting system is being accessed, look at all the logins. What time of day were there? Was there a login at 2 o'clock in the morning to your accounting software? That might be a red flag. Are there hundreds of logins to your customer data from an IP address that's outside of your jurisdiction? That could be a red flag. Make sure you're monitoring the accesses and the usage, because many of these hacking events, cyber attacks, ransomware events had multiple accesses for weeks, sometimes months before the actual event. And if you caught those early, you could prevent that event from happening. And then, of course, if there is an event, make sure you have an incident response. You have a report, you have a diagnostic or forensic audit of all those attacks, so you know what was taken, when it was taken, and also make sure you're not going to have a secondary event that happens later, even after you solve the first one.